The pressure that we experience on our journey to achieve exam success often comes in two forms. Outer pressures, which are those from outside ourselves, and inner pressures, that from within ourselves. On the idea of outer pressures, these often take the form of expectations of others, influence from social media, and influence from peers. And we're going to talk about each of these in turn. So first of all, let's talk about the expectations that others have of us. Our parents, our loved ones, our teachers, and so on. When talking about the expectations that others might have on us, we have to realize that parents and loved ones and teachers and so on express their expectations in different ways. Some of them will directly tell us what grades they expect us to achieve or what career they want us to pursue. Others, however, will more subtly try to direct us towards certain options, expressing disappointment or disapproval in a more subtle manner and gently trying to influence our views to match theirs. Specifically in the case of parents, some of them will insist that they are putting no pressure on us if we confront them about the issue. Unfortunately, the extent to which they're telling the truth here is irrelevant, because if we perceive pressure coming from them, then the pressure exists, regardless of whether it was their intention or not. Guys, the truth is many of us love and respect our parents, and because of this we attach even more weight to their expectations, or what we perceive their expectations to be. We feel that it would be ungrateful for us or disrespectful of us to go directly against their views. However, when that pressure becomes unbearable, we may overreact by rebelling completely, which honestly does not serve us well in the long run. Because as well as damaging our own chances for a future, we also risk damaging our relationships with them in the long run. So, how can we reconcile this? The key to dealing with our parents is to remind ourselves that they are not perfect, and that they may be acting out of fear and not just love. In other words, as much as they love us and want the best for us, they also fear that we won't achieve what they believe will give us the best chance in the future. Now, this is based on what their own experiences show to be the definition of success, health, happiness, and so on. We've got to remember that their reasoning aligns with their own values, which are not necessarily the same as ours. This is why we often find ourselves feeling so conflicted about the direction that our parents are trying to push us in. We know that they want the best for us, but we also feel like we also want the best for ourselves, and the way in which we want that best might be different to the way in which they think is best for us. Here's what we've got to remember. Many of our parents were influenced by their parents, our grandparents, and the world was a very different place back then. Poverty and famine and scarcity were so much more prevalent, so security was heavily valued. Feeling secure, not being homeless, having food, having the resources in order to survive. Now, in the modern world, security translates to getting a well-paid, stable job, which absolutely is more easily achieved with a good degree from a good university. As well as this, our parents may have also been heavily influenced by their own cultures, some of which placed a huge amount of importance on academic qualifications and the prestige attached to them. But we've got to realise that the world is not the same, and the environment in which we're growing up in is not the same as theirs. So what happens is these create this conflict between our parents' expectations of our lives and our own expectations for our own lives. And our parents are not at fault here. They want what's best for us, but they just aren't aware that the world they grew up in may be different to what it is now, and that what was best for them in that world they grew up in may not be what's best in the world that we're being raised in. Now guys, these kind of things are coming from our parents' love for us, but the truth is it's not always coming from a place of love. Sometimes it comes from a place of fear. Specifically with parents, some parents fear what other people would think if we took a different path or achieved low grades, because they believe that our actions reflect on them. They use threats such as letting your family down and after all we've done for you. And this is such a difficult burden to manage because it's their shortcoming that we have to suffer. Another issue that we might face outside of this love or fear is that when people are not satisfied with their own lives, they often try and control those of others. Whereas they can't exert control over their own lives, they try and grasp and manipulate that of others. And this is such a tragedy that so many of us have to experience this. Now, the key to dealing with these issues and all the other sources of outer pressure is to block out their voices and treat them with compassion instead of resentment. Compassion is so vital here. By placing ourselves in their shoes and imagining the setbacks and adversities they faced during their upbringing, we begin to understand where they're coming from. We might not like it. We might not like the way that they're pushing us towards certain things, but at least we can understand it. We can understand where they're coming from. And we know that fundamentally, at the highest level, what our parents want for us, what our loved ones want for us, is the same as what we want for ourselves. To be happy, to be healthy, and to be successful. And in the case of exams, to get good grades. I genuinely don't believe that you watching this want to get bad grades. So it's about realizing that you align at this level. And while your parents are coming at it from this route, and you'd rather go up this route, you're still going to end up in the same place. So please, block out their voices and just focus on that pressure that comes from within you, that inner pressure. That is more than enough to handle in this case. And if it does frustrate you guys that your parents keep telling you the same thing, to go and study, to go and do this, you're not alone. We've all gone through this. I actually had a client who they would often say that if they're about to go and do work and their parents say, why aren't you doing your work? They actually won't want to do it anymore. You know, if they were about to go and study and their parents were like, oh, why haven't you been studying? They will now not want to study because of that. And I can vouch for this. I was completely the same. I always wanted to feel like I was in control of what I was doing. I didn't want to feel them saying that same thing. I didn't want to hear that. So what I'll say to you guys is block out that voice. You know what they want is the best for you. And you know that what you want is the best for you. So just block out that voice and focus on what you were going to do in the first place. Remember that by satisfying what you want, you'll automatically satisfy what they want.